Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigator.
In the shadows where the truth hides deep, echoes of the lost and the secrets they keep. Cold cases burn in the back of your mind. We dig through the dark, one clue at a time. This ain't fiction, this is blood, this is truth. 12 Gauge Investigative, justice uncaged. We ask the questions they're too scared to say, shining a light where the guilty pray. From killers to whispers, we won't look away.
Yeah, man. Welcome to my channel. My name is 12 Gauge, and this is 12 Gauge Investigative. If you're not here, then where are you at? That's what I want to know. This is the place to be. And I have a guest tonight, and we're going to do some discussions. And I hope that you enjoy what we give you because it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Let me see if I can pull it up. If you haven't already seen the pictures or the videos of Mr. Koberger in his cell, then what are you waiting on? They're in the shorts. Go check them out. Anyways, I'm going to show you something that Ashley Banfield did, and I know there's a lot of people that don't care for her, but you know what? You might not care for her, but they have the information faster than anybody else. Um, Hold on, I'm trying to get my guest up here. Well, what do you think about all this madness? All this madness that people continue to spill on this case. What do y'all think? Because I know y'all have some thoughts. What do y'all think about the situation of him being bothered all night long by other inmates? What do you think about that? Do you think that it's a thing, or do you believe that it's actually something that he's really having that kind of problems, or do you believe that that's made up and that's not true? Because a lot of times we hear something and then we see a video, and then whatever we hear is redacted. Okay, I sent it to you, so you should have got it. But anyways, for people that have never been to prison, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's not going to be something nice. It's not going to be something that is going to be pleasant. It's not going to be something that it's meant to enjoy. Hello, special guest.
Oh my goodness, I'm special. Yay. And I don't have an echo. That is so awesome. Okay, I can't do the link in chat.
Okay. Well, that's awesome that you were able to come up. Well, let's watch this and let's discuss it a little bit
I
afterwards.
love this.
All right, here we go.
We begin tonight with what might just be perhaps the most breathtaking piece of news to come out of what's been a flood of case files and court papers in the Brian Koberger, Idaho saga. A possible answer to the burning questions that Koberger would not answer and authorities seemingly couldn't find out. Why that house? Why those victims? Who among them, if any, were specifically marked for death? Page 3, paragraph B of a new document from the Idaho State Police describes an interview with a surviving roommate. That's what they say, a surviving roommate who, from everything we know at this point, must have been Dylan Mortensen. And I want to read it specifically for you. Sometime in the early morning hours, Redacted was awoken and opened her room door and heard a male say, quote, "It's okay, Kaylee. I'm here for you," and crying. She then shut the door a short while later. She opened her door again and saw someone approximately 5'10" tall, dressed in black with a ski mask.
Let me stop right there. So, this kind of goes against what we've heard and seen all along, does it not?
Honey, everything that's come out in the last 2 days goes against everything.
Your dog agrees.
Yes, my dog agrees.
So, do you have any opinion on what is causing this to happen? I mean, I saw a thumbnail tonight that said Bill Thompson said that there was other perpetrators.
Okay, now
And
I
then,
did watch that interview, okay? And
okay,
he said that there is no proof that there is not another perpetrator, but there's no proof that there is another perpetrator. You know what I'm saying? That
right,
basically that they don't know one way or the other. But he knows that Koberger is either the sole perpetrator or one of the perpetrators.
okay. Well, this statement right here, I don't know what to make of this. I really don't.
Okay, well,
Let's go ahead
Brian
and
Hinton, you have to
let,
go. Brian Hinton did a video tonight. You know, he has his own like she has this is, this is not well, this is News Nation. But then she has her other one. And so he started his own. And so
right.
tonight he actually reads like a 3-page uh interview with Dylan, and she talks about this. And now I never thought that I would say this. But yesterday, Pavioli did a video, and oh my God, the things that he brought out in that video, and I don't know how he got some of these documents, because what he read in some of those documents is what Brian Hinton was reading tonight, and they're not out to the public yet. Because when I watched his video yesterday, I was like, where the heck did he get this stuff? Because I mean, what she's describing in his hands, like him carrying, is like I mean, she basically says a gun. I mean, and I mean, this is documents that he is reading, just like, Brian Hinton does tonight. I mean, they've got like 20 complaints from WSU on Koberger. They've got a professor that's saying that in 4 years they have to give him a PhD, but that she can guarantee that when he becomes a professor, that he will become known for sexually. Yeah, it's all in this when you finish it. I mean, I'm just blown away.
Well, guess what? We can watch that after this one. Let's continue on.
Okay.
This really kind of blows me away. Like, is this really what was said and they didn't and they put something else in the wording? I mean,
Honey, there is so many interviews that Dylan did that nobody knew about. You know, everybody just thought she said, okay, he was clad in black and had bushy eyebrows. No,
Right.
she sees him. She talks about him stopping in the kitchen before going outside. I
Well,
mean,
haven't we always said that though, Nina?
yeah, but I mean,
We know.
it's stuff that, has never been like the police or nobody has ever talked about it. Do you remember the other night when I tried to come up on panel? I was telling you that the pictures just put more questions in my head
Right, right,
because now, I mean, that I have always for 2 years, I have felt that Xana was attacked first, but the last to die.
right.
And that damn beer pong table just solidified it for me.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that here in a second. Let me get through this video. You know how we are. We'll be up here 3 hours.
I know.
Standing in the kitchen. This is absolutely stunning information. According to a surviving roommate, the killer, Brian Koberger, used Kaylee Gonzalez's name before he ended her life. If that surviving roommate was right, he knew who Kaylee was. He knew where Kaylee lived. And it might just have been a targeted attack with Kaylee Gonzalez being the target, or at least one of the targets. Here's where I want to add some context, and it's important context. From the thousands of pages of
Y'all got to
case
listen
files
to
that we
this.
had been reading since this crime was committed nearly 3 years ago, that surviving roommate, Dylan Mortensen, gave more than half a dozen interviews to the police after the murders. And while her story has remained really, really consistent, most of the answers that she gave about what she heard that night included hearing the words, "It's okay, I'm here to help you. It's okay, I'm here to help you," without Kaylee's name attached. So this is the first time we're hearing that at least one of her statements to the police included hearing the killer saying Kaylee's name. There is also this from Washington State University, where Koberger was teaching as an assistant. He was pursuing his PhD in criminology. And we knew that he was unbelievably unpopular there. We knew that there was friction, especially with the female students and the female colleagues he had. But in these new documents that we've been able to obtain, they're still not public, but News Nation has obtained them. In fact, Brian Enton, my colleague, who's been working doggedly on this story for the last almost 3 years, was able to get these. We're told that a criminology professor issued a stark warning to other professors and other supervisors. A
Wow.
warning that Brian Koberger might just become a predator. And again, in these documents that Brian Enton has
Wow.
been able to obtain, this is what
Koberger is smart enough that in 4 years we will have to give him a PhD. Mark my word, I work with predators. If we give him a PhD, that's the guy that in many years, when he's a professor, we will hear as harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing. One of the professors at WSU said this.
Yes. I mean,
Wow.
these statements, they have the Brian Enton video is out of this world. He has got all 600 pages printed out, and he is, like I said, he reads the 3-page one from Dylan, and oh my gosh, it is so extensive. This poor girl thought that that was Kaylee. She thought that Kaylee was in there in the floor. And when they asked about the 2 girls upstairs, since Kaylee was downstairs, she assumed that she was all messed up. It messed her up bad.
Okay, let's finish this. Man, I'm anxious now. It's almost done.
this professor says. Koberger is smart enough that in 4 years, we will have to give him a PhD. Mark my word, I work with predators. If we give him a PhD, that's the guy that in many years, when he is a professor, we will hear he is harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing. These were words that were spoken months before the murders.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe
You
below
don't
and down.
think I would be one pissed off parent right now?
Hold on a second. What?
You don't think I would be one pissed off parent right now?
A little bit.
I mean, come on, think about it. I mean, he's got like complaints that went up to the higher levels, like, to the people, the president of the college and everything, of people he was trapping people in the office and not letting the girls leave. It got to the point to where one of the instructors would hear one of them say, "I really want out of here," and she would go and step in so they could leave the office.
Wow. Here, I found it. But how come this isn't being shown all over YouTube?
Because it's not to the public yet. Brian Hinton put it out here.
No, but I'm saying how come other channels aren't showing this?
I don't know. Maybe I was watched too much YouTube. I don't know.
Here we go.
I'm going to go through what's new here. So many new accounts of people that I didn't know about at Washington State University who were complaining about Brian Koberger, who were creeped out by Brian Koberger. I've got those interviews in the new reports. Also, the most detailed account from surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen that I've seen yet. I'm going to break it all down for you in this episode of Brian Hinton Investigates.
Hey guys, so I have the 600 pages of new police reports from Idaho State Police that were just released as part of the Brian Koberger case. Obviously, now that the sentencing has happened, the gag order is lifted, all of these agencies are starting to release these reports. So I have 600 pages here. A lot of it is redacted, so bear with me.
I think these are from Idaho State Police.
Just to sort of read through
Okay.
the reports, read them to you so you can hear them for yourselves rather than me trying to summarize.
Are these the ones that you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of it. I went through everything one time and pulled the things that I thought were most interesting and new. But what I saw with the Moscow reports is I kind of had to go through them a couple times just because there's so much. So this is going to sort of be my first pass at it. And then maybe I'll do a future episode where I, go back to some other nuggets. But I want to start with, this is the narrative. The roommate, Dylan Mortensen, she gave a very detailed account to police. And we've a lot of this stuff is going to be stuff that we know the basics, but now we have the detail. So I'm going to read you Dylan's account of what she told the police when she was first interviewed. And then I'm going to get to, just so you know what else is coming up, there's a ton of reports from people who were in class with Brian Koberger at Washington State and colleagues of his who are also in the PhD program. Just really disturbing stuff. I knew some of this, that they thought he was sexist and that he was rude to women in class, but this goes much deeper. So I'm also going to get to that after I read you this, what Dylan Mortensen said during her interview. So I'm a little sick. So let me cough first. All right. This is Dylan when she talked to police. She advised around 4 a.m. or 4:20 a.m. She heard Kaylee singing and playing music. She heard who she believed Kaylee was walking up the stairs, and blank advised she heard Kaylee say, "Someone's here." And she sounded frantic. And they don't name Dylan here, but I've just pieced together that that's who it is. Blank described Kaylee's tone as somewhere between talking and yelling. She believed it was Kaylee who was walking up the stairs with Murphy. She said she heard who she believed to be Kaylee running down the stairs. She advised Murphy was barking at this time. She does not believe Murphy is normally a barker. She further stated she believed it was Kaylee who was running down the stairs after she heard her say, "Someone is here." She further explained she does not know if she actually heard this or whether she was drunk and did not actually hear any of this. She heard the footsteps of who she believed to be Kaylee. She explained all the girls wear Doc Martens and that this is what she believed she was wearing, what she was hearing Kaylee coming down the stairs wearing, her Doc Martens, because of the sound of the footsteps coming down the stairs. Blank called Blank at 4:19 a.m., then Xana at 4:20 a.m., Kaylee at 4:20 a.m., and then Blank again at 4:20 a.m. Blank advised Blank told her about seeing fireworks. She texted Blank last time at 4:27 a.m. before she went to Blank's room. Blank then explained when she first opened her door and said she did not see anyone. The second time when she opened the door, she heard who she
Okay, so Dylan was telling the interviewer that she saw fireworks
No,
initially.
Bethany. Okay, see, Bethany in another report. See, this is another thing that's come out. Is Bethany reported about the flash and where she
Right.
thought it was fireworks or something? Well,
Yeah.
today, Unravel, I think I posted it. I can't remember if I posted it or not. But anyway, Unravel sent me a video today of the 1112 video,
Mm-hmm.
and there's two flashes. And it's like, do you think that's what Bethany saw? And I can't figure out for the life of me what those two flashes are. But there's literally two flashes in that video, and Bethany talks about seeing like two flashes.
Right. Right. Wow. That is interesting. It is. I mean, this is some good stuff.
believed to be
Right.
Kaylee crying, and Blank believed Kaylee was in the second floor bathroom. She then heard a male voice, which she stated she had never heard before, say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Blank believed the unidentified male was in the bathroom and with the person who was crying. She believes it was Kaylee who was the one crying. Blank stated that now, sorry, so there's some typos, but Blank stated that now she has gathered additional information and now believes it was probably Xana who was crying. At the moment of hearing the crying, she stated she believed it was Kaylee who was crying. She advised she knows the male's voice was not Ethan's. She described the last episode of Vampire Diaries, and she remembered it was two males rescuing a female. She explained it was not violent. She advised the male figure in the last episode was wearing all black, but Blank explained that that was normal for the series. Apparently, they had been watching that. She's not certain whether she heard Murphy barking during the first time she opened her door, but she advised it was possible he was barking, but Murphy was moving away from the house. She described Murphy was a puppy, and Blank
Did
had
you
just
hear
met
that?
him in
Murphy was
August.
moving away
She could
from the
not describe
house.
Murphy as
Right. So, what's your thought on that?
That Murphy was already scared and outside
Yeah.
because she said that he was already barking. And okay, and I know I know I'm going all over the place with this, but do you remember the DoorDash driver making the statement, because we thought it was the weirdest thing ever, that somebody was in the third floor, and she said third floor, not second. She said somebody was in the third floor window, and when she would look up, they would duck.
Yeah. So that was probably
Okay,
Brian,
well, what if
not Brian. What am I
she's
saying?
already talking about Kaylee saying there's somebody in the house? So what if Kaylee's got herself locked in that bathroom on the third floor, looking out the window? She sees Brian's car go by. She sees the DoorDash driver. She sees the DoorDash driver out walking with a flashlight. And what if
Hmm.
that's Kaylee bobbing her head?
That's interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
so I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, if everybody will stop and back up and listen to everything, it's piecing together. I mean, I'm not saying, because I know that the blood mixture is one of the things that sort of says, where the blood went. But if he did, if Xana did not die instantly and he had to go back to Xana after Kaylee and Maddie, then the blood mixture would be with Xana.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
That does make sense.
And the only way that you get around that beer pong table is if you are methodically walking around that beer pong table with the knife to somebody's throat, leading her to her bedroom after she got her DoorDash order.
It's interesting. But
Because if not, you think about it, they want to say that she went upstairs and that she's running down those stairs with him running behind her. Okay. I don't care how long you've lived in that house. You're going to come down one flight. You're going to make an immediate U. You're going to come down that flight. You're going to come off that last step. You're going to hit solid ground. You're going to hit a riser. You're going to run right into that damn table.
Yep.
Those cups are not going to be standing.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I
I
mean, me
mean,
personally, the table would be down on the first floor. It would have gone over the dang, or it would have gone in between me and him. Or I would have ditched to the left and went out the door.
I thought that too. I've always wondered that is like, but in a state of panic, she's going to Ethan to protect her. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't know. My daughter told me, she said, Mama, you're my mama. But in a case like that, I'll call you later because number one, I don't want to lead him to you. But number two, I'm leaving.
well, I've wondered that, and I talked about that on one of my lives. You know, is how come she didn't go out the back slider, or even go downstairs and go out the front door. There, like, I mean, that does make a lot more sense what you're saying. If he had already caught up to her and grabbed her around the, you know,
Right. So, I mean, now
put
they
his
are
hand.
methodically walking around that table and he's leading her so she's not screaming. So now maybe Kaylee says, well, it's time to go walk Murphy. And she sees the back door open.
Well, let's keep hearing this.
Okay.
Being skittish. She advised she opened and closed her door a total of 3 times, and the 4th time is when she left her bedroom to go downstairs to Blank's bedroom. Blank advised she continued to call and text her roommates but received no answer. She provided the times she called and texted her roommates, and the time span she advised would have been between 4:20 a.m. and 4:27 a.m. She advised she never thought about an intruder, and in her mind, she stated she was not processing what was occurring as threatening. She's not processing it as threatening. She advised she believed the male was directing his conversation of who she believed was Kaylee. She advised she did not believe the male was directing that statement to her. In discussing why the offender did not harm her, it was discussed that it was possible the male knew her and wanted to protect her. And she said she understood that that was possible, but she denied knowing who the suspect was. Blank further explained she Snapchatted Ethan but received no answer from Ethan. Blank thought Ethan was still either at Blank Chi, Sigma Chi, or was at home. She was not certain. The first time Blank opened the door, she said her vision was blurry or fuzzy, but she advised she saw a figure of someone that was dressed in all black and they were masked, and he was holding an item of what she initially perceived was a vacuum, but she said that did not make sense to her. She described the suspect as not being muscular, but being skinny and toned like a basketball player. She further described him as being taller than 5'10" frame by at least 3 inches, so he would have been 6 feet in height. She advised he had to have her call Kaylee and Xana, and she advised he had to have heard her call Kaylee and Xana, and she thought he would have had to have heard her calling for them, and she was confused as to why he did not come to her room. A lot of us have had questions about that. She described the item the suspect was holding, which was advised was like a cylinder, as she remembered a cop talking about how a bow, she was trying to ascertain if what she saw was in fact shaped like a bow. Further stated she thought that maybe it was a firefighter because of what Blank told her about seeing a firecracker. She advised he would have been approximately interesting, the firecracker thing, by the way, 3 feet away from her, and she believed she saw him walking out the back sliding glass door. He had looked at her before walking out the back door. She was not certain if he could see her whole body or just her head. At 4:22 a.m., then Blank corrected her time and stated actually 4:23 a.m. She advised she texted Blank, and they conversed about someone wearing all black, and Blank said something to the effect of, "What the F, why is Xana wearing all black?" Blank explained she was not certain if she had been dreaming this or if it was real. Blank explained she saw the suspect holding something she believed to be cylinder-shaped and also shaped like a triangle at the bottom of the shape, at the cylinder shape. She advised the suspect was approximately 3 feet away from her, and he looked at her, but
So, you know what that sounds like? A meat cleaver. Where'd you go? Okay. Um, this is some interesting stuff, honestly. I mean, I've never really thought the DM was lying. I've never thought that, you know, any of the statements, I'd never held on to them as being just one dimensional and um trying to go through them and dissect them and find her lying or telling the truth. I mean, because the most basic, as I've always saying, the police go to eliminate suspects, not create them. So I was saying, Nina, she said it was cylinder with kind of like a point at the bottom. I mean, doesn't that sound like a meat cleaver or kind of like a, you know what I'm
Well,
talking
see,
about?
at one point, she says that it looks like a gun.
Yeah,
Okay, but then I was sitting there thinking about it. He says that it's cylinder and that it's triangle at the end. Well, wouldn't an upside down K bar look like that?
I don't think so. I mean,
If
I
he's
think
got,
the bottom,
because
yeah,
like if he had on one of those disposable jumpsuits and he had it like wrapped around it to where all she could see was the top of the handle of the K bar and maybe the tip.
I don't know. That's a good thought. That's a good thought. But I
You
don't
see
know if
what I'm
it's
saying?
round.
Because it would look
I
like a
don't know if it.
triangle at the end.
I mean, we have to remember that this was all happening so quickly that she didn't really stop him and say, "Hey, what
Yeah.
is that in your arm?" You know what I mean? We have to remember
Can
that.
I get your name?
Yeah, can you tell me what you're holding? I mean, that's why it's so interesting and so frustrating at the same point at the same time because they're using statements very very juvenile statements. You know what I mean? They're not very
But
descriptive.
you can tell that Dylan's not saying, "Well, he was clad in black."
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
she's being pretty basic about it.
right.
So, I
But
mean,
you know what else I'm thinking right now? You know where Steve was saying that, they might have thought that they were being pranked.
right,
Well, that could have been part of it too. If they thought this was a prank and it wasn't real, that would have kept their inhibition down until they started getting stabbed, right?
right. And I mean, she even has he already said that she knows that he didn't try her door because he could have come in because at that time she hadn't locked it.
No, not yet. We're getting there. We're getting
Okay,
there.
okay,
Okay.
Was walking out the sliding door when she saw him. She said she saw his eyebrows. At approximately 4:23 a.m., she texted Blank to tell her she saw a masked suspect in their house. Blank responded at approximately 4:25 a.m., telling her to come to her Blank bedroom and that it's better than being alone. Blank then left her bedroom after opening the door the fourth time and ran to Blank's bedroom downstairs. Again, this is Dylan and Bethany, but they've redacted. Blank advised when she left her bedroom, she looked down the hallway to Xana's bedroom and she could see Xana lying on her back in her underwear, but she thought at that time Xana was passed out. Blank stated she never went to Xana's bedroom and she could only see Xana from the hallway as she was running to get to Blank's bedroom. Dylan to Bethany's bedroom. She advised she was too scared to go into Xana's bedroom and she knew Blank was awake and she knew to go there because she was scared. She saw Xana was wearing her underwear and she explained Xana was comfortable enough with the roommates that she would wear her underwear around them, so this was not unusual. When asked about the lighting conditions inside the residence, she advised that possibly Xana's light was on or the party lights were on, and that is how she was able to see Xana, because otherwise she would not have been able to see her lying on the floor without any lights being on. She was not certain if the bathroom lights were on, but she was not certain what lights were on, if any. She advised Xana did not say anything. Blank stated she did not think anything was wrong, so still didn't think anything was wrong. She later offered she may have been able to see Xana lying on the floor because they also had a Sensi light, and it could have been she was able to see Xana from the Sensi light. She explained she's been trying to determine what was real from everything that she had been talking about with Sergeant Blaker and myself. She advised she knew at the time with Blank, Kaylee, and Maddie were real because she has seen the video of them together. So there's video. She was not certain how Blank got home that day. She further explained she'd been trying to piece things together because some things do not make sense to her. She stated that she is being truthful, but some of what she's been discussing, she's not certain is factual. She has been working through it, trying to remember what happened. Blank was asked if the female who was crying was saying anything, and she advised no, the female was only crying and the male was the only one talking. She described the item the suspect was holding as cylinder-shaped and was also triangular.
So there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason why there's only one person talking. You either have them scared out of their mind or you have your hand over their mouth.
Exactly.
I mean, so if we were looking, because a lot of this stuff reminds me of the Danny Rolling, because I did that the other day, and what he did was put gray tape
Yep.
over their mouths, and
And did
then
you know in your, I know you know because it was your video, but the black mask, the K bar, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, yeah. That's the reason in the comments I put, well, this was informative.
I mean, it was almost like a play by play of what we're seeing here,
And
other
then
than
when
the
I
actual,
realized that they had just done the Scream promotion in October in Moscow, and the Scream thing is based off that.
right, right. I
And
mean,
they had just done a big screenplay of Scream in October in Moscow.
right, and I've always thought that. I've always said that in my videos, and I hate to be talking like that because people are
Oh, I
gonna be
know.
like, yeah, yeah, right. You didn't say that or whatever. You said that after the fact. Well, all you have to do
Go,
is go
go
back
watch our
to
videos. Go
my
watch our
yeah,
videos.
watch the earliest videos and you'll hear all this stuff. And I even spoke on a dark triad, and you know who was talking about the dark triad tonight?
I
Dr.
know.
Phil. Dr. Phil. And I was like,
I know.
wow.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, and I'm like you. I'm not arrogant enough to say that I am smarter than a doctor, or I'm smarter than a psychologist, or I'm smarter than an investigator. But I can tell you this right now, as far as Brian Koberger goes, I think that between me and you both, we have dove as deep into his psyche as two people could possibly dig,
I agree. I agree with you.
and
I
did it
agree.
with an open mind.
The fact that he used the K bar tells a lot. Kind of like
Yes.
what they were showing in that Danny Rolling. That prosecutor was going over that. He went into Walmart, got some materials. Well, what all did Brian do? It's almost like he copied a lot of different variations of the people he was obviously looking up to, and took a little bit from each one. You know what I mean? Like Danny
But
was,
I mean,
I would
you
say
sit there.
Stephen McDaniel and Danny Rolling are the two that really stick out to me the most.
I
I
mean,
think
it
he's
talks
more like
about,
them.
his behaviors and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there going, I've been saying that for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. Let's continue hearing Brian.
Shape. She could not remember if the lights were on or off when she encountered the male suspect. She advised she does not know if this is even something she saw or it was something she dreamed. She advised the last time she saw Xana was at Blank House at approximately 11:04 p.m. Confirmed this by checking her cell phone. Xana had been holding a white claw. She was at Blank at 12:49 a.m. That part I don't really understand. She further advised Xana and Ethan did not stay at Ethan's house with any frequency because of Ethan's grades. He could not reside at the fraternity. He had his own apartment, but she does not know where his apartment is because she had never been there. She knows Kaylee and Maddie were home when she went to bed and Blank and from when she saw Xana lying on the floor, but she's not certain about whether Ethan was home. Stated she is certain at 3:11 a.m. Kaylee, Maddie, and she were all in the house. She was not certain about Xana and Ethan because she does not know when they came home. She denied perceiving a threat even after encountering the male in the hallway. So she denied perceiving a threat even after encountering the male in the hallway. She said there were people coming in and out of their house all the time. She denied remembering what his face looked like and said she could see that his head and mouth were covered, but she could not see his eyebrows, and further advised she was not certain she could see his nose. When asked,
So all the answers that people want, and they scream every day, we want the facts, we want the answers. This dude is sitting there reading it word for word, verbatim. But one
Oh,
of the
it gets
survivors,
better. I mean, you know, you got to consider today we found out what page 118 was, what book it came from. We found out what he bought at Albertsons. We found out. I mean, there is so much. And the thing about it is, it's coming so fast that a lot of people aren't paying attention to it. And I mean, just like this, honey, I have been hunting these docs all day long. And I know that Washington put out a zip file, but every time I go to try to download it, it says that too many people have downloaded it for me to just keep trying. So at first I thought, well, that must be what everybody's looking at. Well,
right?
then when I watched Ashley on News Nation, and she said that he had the 600 documents that weren't public yet, I was like, wait a minute, then that's a whole different batch.
Right, right. So I mean, it's interesting the fact that we've all wanted to know these answers, but are people really listening, Nina? Are they really
No,
listening to what this individual is reading right now? Or are they just like in their own mindset, trying to connect the dots on what they've heard other people say and say, "No, that can't be right. That's not what she said. She said this." Well, he is reading documents.
you know, how many people said that they would never understand how the judge said that she was a credible witness when she was drunk, and she said that she wasn't sure. That's what made her so credible. Was she was saying, "Look, everything I'm saying to you, I might have dreamed every bit of it, but I'm going to
Right,
tell you about it just in case it did happen."
right.
So she was being credible because she was being truthful.
But to people that don't want to hear this, she was just trying to COA or
Right, right.
EHA cover
And
her ass.
all it boils down to is everybody's so worried about their own narrative, or being the first to get it out there, or being the first to get that big click. You know what I'm saying? The big clickbait, or
Right,
something like that. Where I mean, look, we're up at 11 o'clock at night doing this. If I wanted to do it for clickbait, I watched him 2 or 3 hours ago. I would have
right,
done it way before now. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Clickbait means nothing to me. I want to know what happened. I want to know the truth. I want to understand it. I don't care about my narrative. I don't care about what I think, what I believe, or anything like that. I don't care if I am 1000% wrong.
right.
I just want to understand it.
Well, Mountain Mama says people want sensationalism. Well, to an extent, if you're listening to this is sensational enough for me. I mean, to hear this survivor saying, "This is what I saw. This is what went down. This is what went." Step by step, she's walking you through everything she saw.
I
We
mean,
didn't get to hear.
Okay, Kylie says that she has the Pullman files and that this is not them.
Okay,
See, because my Pullman files won't open.
right. Well,
So,
maybe this is something else. Let's
yeah,
continue.
I think Kylie said that he must have put in a FOIA request or something.
interesting, couldn't see it says there she couldn't see his eyebrows. When asked if she knew what balaclava was, she said no. So I asked Sergeant Blaker to show her a picture of a balaclava from his cell phone, and upon looking at the picture of a balaclava, she stated it could have been it. She does not remember seeing his mouth or nose, but she could see his eyebrows. Now, when asked if any of her roommates told her about prior incidents involving anything that concerned them, she advised Kaylee had told them blank and the other roommates about an incident a month prior when she was outside with Murphy about a subject who had been watching her. The subject was in the apartments above the girl's residence. Blank further explained that 2 to 3 weeks ago, while at Winco, Kaylee told her about a male subject who followed her from the Winco store, all the way to Kaylee's car, even when Kaylee went to leave, the subject was standing by Kaylee's car. We've heard about that incident before. Also, 2 to 3 weeks ago, all of the roommates went to Starbucks together, and when they got home, their front door was wide open, and they do not believe it had been open when they left. She explained there were prior issues with the front door, so she said it was possible the door opened because there had been a snowstorm, and she explained possibly the wind caused the door to open. Also, when they got home, the washer was going, which she described was not unusual, but this also concerned her. She explained because of these things, they went to get Ethan's golf clubs to protect themselves when they searched the house. Blank explained weeks prior to the 13th.
Bam, did you hear that one?
Scream, but no one else heard
Yeah.
it. Blank was asked if she was telling either Sergeant Baker or
They went to get Ethan's golf club to protect themselves.
Yeah, they put golf clubs in their bedrooms
Yeah.
for protection. Did you hear? Has it got to the part where it talks about they come home and the washer's going?
Yeah, the washer's going, the front door's open.
I mean, come on, people. Yeah, I mean, if people are not putting it together, he was already terrorizing these girls.
How, so you can't tell me that he didn't know the outline of that residence. He knew every little.
And the thing about it
No
is, no,
secret.
okay, they said that, at 9 o'clock he came back over there. Well, I know that, on the 9 o'clock surveillance camera for 11/12, his car is not on that road, okay, because it doesn't show up. But if Walenta has that pull off. He could have pulled off there and watched everything.
Of course.
He didn't have to come back on during the day and be on the 11/12 surveillance camera.
Well, he could have. You're right. You're right. But the front door was wide open, right?
Yeah, but his
Supposedly.
car never shows up again.
Yeah, he had this planned. There's too many variables. I mean, I don't believe this was the only house he was looking at, but this was the
Oh, I
only
don't either.
house that was susceptible to him going and stalking it out by going in and doing whatever he wanted, because
Right,
he had that tendency. He did that to his coworker. Remember, he went in,
right.
moved around all her toilet stuff, all the stuff in her toilet, in her bathroom, and you know, as
I
you
mean,
see him in
yeah,
those
Callie
videos.
says that he didn't. Yeah, it pinged in the area, but uh, Fixler from the Statesman, he stated last night in an interview that he has the daytime surveillance up until noon, and that his car never shows back up on King Road. And then I found out, okay, you know how the DoorDash driver said that the GPS, that if you use the GPS to go to 1122 King Road, it makes you park around back, right? Well, come to find out, the reason it makes you park around back, and I think you and I have talked about this before, is before they did that easement and everything, because they changed it around, where 1127 and all that is, it used to curve around, and the slider used to be the front door.
Right, right.
And so when you use the GPS, that's what the GPS still goes by, is it puts you at the slider, which is in the back.
So let's continue hearing from Brian. Golly, Brian dropping some bombs.
or I anything to prevent us from solving this. And she advised no, that she understood my question. And she advised that she knew she did not sleep through the whole incident because she has texted communications and other things, and she knows that they would have required her to be awake. She advised she knows what she heard, especially about hearing who she believes was Kaylee crying and the male voice telling her that he was there for her. Interesting. She stated again, she does not know how much of what she has been telling us was not factual because she's still processing the events. When asked why she believes she was spared after the male suspect saw her, she said she does not know why, and she does not believe anyone ever tried to open the door during the time he was in the house, and he could have easily have done so. And why would he have passed by her room multiple times? She volunteered that to come through the sliding glass door, the person would have had to have scaled a tall wall. She advised the suspect would have known her room would have been occupied because he appeared to have known the layout of the house. She also said it could have been someone who was in the house last year when the other girls were living in the house. She advised there was no one she knows who could have wanted to hurt the girls, and the girls were loved by everyone. She said she had never heard rumors which were negative about any of the victims. When asked about Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, advised the breakup was mutual and they have their dog Murphy in common. And then she brought up some other names. She offered her DNA. She advised there might be difficult to locate the offender's DNA because they had conducted a DNA.
Okay, she offers her DNA. And all these people that say, well, she has something to do with it. Well, her DNA would have been in the house automatically, but would her DNA have been in the blood around the victim? Do you get what I'm saying, Nina? You're on mute.
Sorry, I was saying hello in chat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then she also goes as far as to tell them that the week before was parents' weekend, so they had deep cleaned the house. And I'm sitting there going, girl, have you seen your house? But I didn't. I mean,
Right. But I mean, that living room looked trashed. I mean, the whole house looked like
well, yeah,
college.
I mean, but I mean, I can imagine because, the week before was parents' weekend, so they had to be on best behavior then, you know.
Right.
And so I'm sure the next weekend, with it being the last ball game and stuff like that, it was party time.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if you think back, back then, you party Friday and Saturday, and then you get up and clean the house on Sunday before you go to work Monday
Well,
or
so
back to
this,
school
I
Monday.
mean,
Or
this interview sounds like she just basically just running by what she remembers.
yeah, I
Nothing,
mean, basically.
nothing more, nothing less. You know.
But then when it talks about Bethany talking about, I mean, y'all, when Pavioli is reading a report and he is literally reading a document. That's the reason I was in Discord all day today. Does anybody know about any of these documents that Pavioli's reading? Because I don't know where they're coming from. And he's talking about Bethany talking about the office down there where Ashlyn's room was, that I knew that Maddie would use the computer and stuff down there to do the marketing and stuff for Mad Greek. But she's talking about Kaylee looking up the sex offenders around the neighborhood and how she worked online, but then she had a job at home and she separated it like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is, and I have to keep in mind that it's Pavioli. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Right.
those kind of things that you're like, Kaylee, why are you looking up all the sex offenders? I mean,
Well, I mean, if she had feared that she was getting stalked,
exactly.
wouldn't
But
you
that's
like
what I'm
to?
saying is if she had that kind of fear, then how, and then you've got this, what is it, cellulite or whatever, cellulite, whatever the name of the company is, that's
Yeah.
got him connecting to the Mad Greek, and
Yeah.
people are just like, oh well, he was probably just walking down the sidewalk one day and it connected. Come on, people, y'all are
Take a
really going
breath.
to go with
Yeah.
that?
Take a breath. Take a breath. Yeah. Let's hear. Let's continue to hear what he has to say.
Clean of their residence leading up to the parents' weekend. Let's see. Some of this I'm reading for the first time, so bear with me. When asked if she could able to provide a description of police to a police artist, like a sketch artist, she said she would not be able to describe enough of the suspect to be helpful. She further advised the only thing she remembered about his face was his eyebrows were bushy. So that's where the bushy eyebrows came from. She advises she was confused about why the offender would have taken the patio door out of the residence because of the drop off from the patio. She advised she remembers that cars do come by their residence a lot. And she said there was a black truck driving past the window And she further said she was not absolutely certain that it was a black truck and apparently was confused. When asked what occurred after she went to Blank's bedroom, she said they eventually fell asleep. She advised a friend of theirs was planning a memorial event, and that's helped her emotionally because at this point she's obviously dealing with everything. Let's see. When she awakened that morning, Blank was next to her in bed. We know that was Bethany. They were both too scared to leave the room to even go to the bathroom. 11:23 a.m., 10:23 a.m. said she texted Maddie. We knew about these text messages. Then explained when she reached out to Blank in the text message, which Blank told her it was 10:50 a.m., but she thinks Blank was mistaken, told her she would send to their house. Sorry, there's a lot redacted here. It's hard to understand. She advised they stayed in the house when the police arrived and the police were putting the tape up. Then they realized there had been a crime. And when they saw the ambulance arrive and leave, Blank told them they would not leave unless there was no reason to stay. She then advised said that the vandal alert came out, and that's when they realized that their friends were actually gone. When asked if she checked the house for anyone else when she initially came home that night with Blank, and she was asked if she had to unlock the front door, and she advised she believed she had to unlock the front door to get into the residence. She advised when she first got home, she remembered the sliding door was closed, but she did not know if it was locked. She advised when she first got home, she went to Kaylee's bedroom to let Murphy out of Kaylee's room, and Kaylee's lights were on and no one was in Kaylee's room. Murphy came back into the house after going outside. So first of all, my heart goes out to Dylan. I mean, I know I read all of that kind of fast and unemotionally, but you just imagine what she must have been going through during this police interview and what she's still going through. So that's really the most detailed statement of Dylan's that we have heard to yet that's now been released in this report. So again, lastly, I'm going to get to which was among the craziest to me, all the reports from the other students who were in class with Brian Koberger. But I want to read you some of this. This is a detailed police report about what officers saw when they first went into the scene. At noon, NPD was dispatched to an unconscious person inside the residence. When they arrived, 2 household occupants identified as Blank and Blank, along with 2 other females and 1 male, were outside the residence. The male identified Blank stated when he had entered the house, he grabbed the knife from the kitchen and cleared the first and second floors, which we knew about this, and then placed the knife on a table inside the living room. When officers entered the house, they found 2 deceased residents, Kernodle and Chapin, inside a bedroom on the 2nd floor. The officers also found 2 more deceased residents, Gonsalves and Mogan, in a bedroom on the 3rd floor. All the victims appeared to have multiple stab wounds. The sliding glass doors located in the kitchen, 2nd floor rear of house, was open, and there was a set of footprints in the melting snow leading into and away from the residence. So footprints.
See, we were talking about that one night on a live, and I even showed that. I don't know if you were in the audience, but I showed that about those footprints heading by that stump. And you and I have done a live, and Jeff and everybody under the sun has done a live where we looked at those stairs that go in between those 2 fences that go up to that back parking lot. So that
Hold
would
up,
make
hold
it
up. Now you heard him say that they're methodical, how they come in and they go out like in the same track, right?
right, right.
Okay. He's fixing to read you a report about either a student or one of his colleagues that they caught the tracks leading into one of their windows just like that, and they put up cameras after it happened.
Wow.
I know. I mean, I'm telling you, that's the reason when we started messaging, I was like, oh my God, I got to engage all this stuff.
I mean, I'm glad you did, but I mean, it makes a lot more sense. I mean, it's really compounding how close we were to most of the stuff that we talked about over the 2.5 years. And once again, all you have to do is to go back to look at the videos in the library, look at Nina's stuff. I mean, you know,
And the
you'll
thing
see.
about it is, it's not about being right or anything like that. It's the
Right,
simple fact that, I mean, come on now, we've been laughed at a lot.
right. I mean, supposedly all we do is talk trash about other people, and that's not true. We've been focused on this case just like everybody else. Let's continue to hear some more, Nina.
There was one shoe print near the western edge of the property leading west into a neighbor's yard. In the front of the residence north were 5 vehicles belonging to the deceased residents. Sometime in the early morning hours, Blank was awoken and opened her room door and heard a male say, "It's okay, Kaylee, I'm here for you," and crying. She then shut her door. A short while later, she opened her door again and saw someone apparently 5'10" tall, dressed in all black with a ski mask, standing in the kitchen. She made eye contact with the person and could see they were Caucasian through the cutouts of the eyes. She shut her door again and texted Blank, whose bedroom is on the blank, told her to join her in her room, and Blank ran downstairs where they fell asleep. Let me see if there's anything else interesting here. They just go through really describing the whole, I could see a female, from the living room looking into the west bedroom, I could see a female Kanoto lying near the center of the room. Her legs and arms appeared to be covered in blood. As I entered the bedroom, I saw multiple drops of red liquid near the entrance and multiple red colored drips on the door above and below the doorknob. A male, Chapin, was laying in the bed, partially covered with a blanket and comforter. His neck and chest were heavily covered in a red liquid. Multiple walls appeared to have red colored cast off, and there were multiple areas on the floor with pools of red colored liquid. So all of this is just awful to hear about. They talk about sort of the condition of all the different rooms. As I walked south up the stairs, they switched back and forth. On the center wall banister were red colored liquid smears. They appeared to be blood smears. At the top of the stairs was a small hallway. Directly to the left was a bedroom, Gonzalez's. The bedroom was clean and the bed unmade, and a black colored coat laying on the ground next to the bed on the left side. On the right side, east of the hallway, it ended with a bathroom.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. How did that black coat get from the hydrant laying on the ground by the bed? Did you hear me? So that black coat was laying by the bed. So, in theory, that's that black coat that Maddie had on, right?
That's right. That means that black coat at the water thing is nothing to do with the case.
Right.
Yeah, her black coat is in the house, and it was actually Kaylee's black coat.
Oh, that's why it was so big, right?
Yes. They said that one of Maddie's big things was that she loved to wear oversized coats and oversized hoodies.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
Lisa, you're right. That was clear all along. We've known all this stuff, but we're just commenting because people have doubled down and are so adamant about certain things. We've always known different, and it's like, come on.
man, people have argued me until the next day. No, that's Maddie's coat. Okay, first of all, it's not Maddie's coat. Second of all, it's not anybody's coat in that house by the fire thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the police didn't bumble it as bad as people think they did.
It doesn't sound like it.
As I entered the
I mean, were
bedroom,
there
there
mistakes?
was
Yeah.
a bed directly to the left. On the bed, on the bed were Gonzalez's and Mogan. They were covered by a beige colored comforter with a large pool of red liquid near the center of the comforter. Multiple walls and the ceiling had multiple areas of red colored cast off. It's just awful. Mogan had multiple visible cuts on her face. Gonzalez had severe trauma to her face and visible cuts with a large amount of dried red colored liquid on her face, though there appeared to be aspirated blood coming from her mouth. It's just also awful. Near Mogan's left hip was a tan-colored leather sheath, partially covered by the comforter. So there's the sheath. On the door edge, I saw multiple red-colored transfer smears. The upper mark was at approximately my shoulder height. All the red-colored liquids were in the room were consistent with blood. And then it goes through basically all the different pieces of evidence that they took from the house. So that's the detailed report on when officers first went into the house.
Okay, you heard where they found the sheath, right?
They found the sheath in the backyard, right?
No. Okay. But listen, there's a report. There's a report in these 600 documents. Kylie, you're going to fall out of your seat when I tell you this. Kylie's like, these reports should be available to the public. Look, he's not getting kicked out of a motel, but something about he's overpaid. He's wanting a refund, something like that, before he moved into his apartment. And they're packing his stuff up. It's him and the maid or something. And they talk about the sheath to his knife. Y'all just got to listen. Y'all just got to listen.
Okay. This is wild.
All of these reports. And I'm gonna have to do more episodes because there's other interesting details. But the last thing I wanted to get to today is, and there's a lot of them, so I'll try to go through not everything, but these are all people who were at Washington State University, whether they were staff or other students with Brian Kohberger who complained about Brian Kohberger. Let me see here.
I mean, he literally made the
So let me
statement.
start here. This
There was
interview was
so many
conducted,
that
and
he had to
again,
print
all of
them.
this is redacted, so bear with me. But this was someone who had contact with Brian Kohberger because Kohberger was a student seeking criminal justice doctorate. They had met several times to discuss requirements for Kohberger's doctorate studies. It sounds like a staff member. They'd met twice in social settings, described Kohberger as socially awkward around people. He did not see any other behavior that he thought was odd, but did tell Kohberger was removed. This is someone in Pullman, Washington, also someone associated with Washington State University, said she held this, so she worked there, had held a position for blank amount of years. During the normal course of her duties, she regularly interacted with Kohberger. This occurred during new student course orientation. She described her initial reaction to Kohberger as ordinary, noting he came across as lonely, and that Kohberger's home state of Pennsylvania they would strike up conversations about that. As weeks progressed, Kohberger would hang out in the hallways outside her office, described Kohberger as creepy, and he would simply stand at her desk and stare at her to her coworker, at one stage blocking the coworker in her desk area. He would also follow them out to their cars at the end of the day. He continued behavior that resulted in some kind of meeting happening, said complaint.
So, does that sound like a good, clean cut American guy just being framed for a crime that he didn't commit?
Shit, Gage, that's just one.
I'm just answer that question. Answer that question.
That
Does
hey,
that sound? Does that sound?
you know how many screenshots I got of the crazy psycho.
Yeah. So, wow.
From faculty members, administrative staff, and other students was referred to blank. These complaints referenced his rude and belittling behavior toward women and his unprofessional rude dealings with his blank. This resulted in a mandatory training class for all graduate students regarding behavior expectations. She said during Kohberger's attendance at this class, he sat at the back with his hands behind his head, staring at the ceiling. Blank said in total 9 complaints. So 9 complaints had been filed against Kohberger. And I'm going to get to more here. This person said they met Kohberger at a pool party in July of 2022. The pool party occurred, says the location's blacked out. When she met Kohberger, they had a brief conversation, exchanged numbers. This doesn't really look that interesting. That she never talked to him again. This is
9 complaints. So think about this. When the police are investigating all this stuff, they're not just hearing like what YouTube wants you to believe. Like, well, we heard from these women, we heard from these people. If you hear a multitude of people talking about a person in an unfavorable light, like I said, you're looking to eliminate suspects rather than make a suspect. So you're trying to not jump on that person as if they're a suspect. You're trying to find more evidence to disprove them of being a suspect. That is how an investigation goes. Many people on YouTube want it to be the total opposite, which it is not. They did not pigeonhole Koberger. They did not tunnel vision him. Listen to all this documents, and you tell me that this was fabricated and a corrupt investigation. And you can call me a bootlicker if you want, but you know what? This is these documents are legal documents. They're not anything that he typed up himself, and they are real. So you can say they're not real. They were just made up. Okay. Nothing's real in the eyes of liars.
A graduate student who also worked at the program at Washington State said that she was a fellow colleague of Koberger. They were on a project together. She had limited interactions. She first met Koberger in her office. They discussed the use of alcohol and the effects of marijuana on society. He told her he was not a drinker and did not understand why people drank. She said Koberger really liked to discuss research and he liked to dominate the conversations. She described him standing in the doorway and hovering. She never felt uncomfortable around him. He had a macho demeanor about him and would appear to be puffed up. The only thing she felt was off about Koberger was his intense stare. He would intensely stare at people even when he wasn't having a conversation with that person. Let's see what else here. This is another person who went to school with him at Washington State. Recalled Koberger talking constantly during their class. He would pick fights with other classmates. She described an argument where blank left the class upset. She had heard he had an incident with a female professor where Koberger disagreed with the grade he was given. Koberger went to a male professor to complain about the grade. The female professor described Koberger as weird, but he had never threatened her. In one instance, after class, Koberger and her were alone. When she was trying to leave the classroom, he blocked her exit. This is another student. She described him blocking her with his physical stance. Koberger said they would meet up sometime and talk about her professional career. She felt he just wanted to keep the discussion going even though class was over. After the homicides, Koberger stopped bringing a cell phone to class and started bringing his laptop. She never saw Koberger using the laptop prior to the homicides. She noticed him always using his phone because he was very studious. She believed he would take notes on his phone. She described the change in his appearance after the homicides. He would normally be clean shaven and neatly dressed. After the homicides, he would come to class with facial hair and his dress would be disheveled. He also started wearing a thick black coat that he never took off during a 3-hour class. The weather didn't.
I wonder what was under that coat.
Oh, honey, they talk about his injuries. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay. All right.
Not really call for a heavy coat. Why was he wearing the heavy coat? That's interesting. Maybe to cover up injuries. All right. This is another person from Washington State, another interview. Stated she first met Koberger on campus in a meet and greet. Said she invited the whole cohort to her apartment during the second or third week of school, and believes that Koberger may have looked in her bathroom cabinet and observed her prescriptions because she does not openly share with others about her. Apparently he knew something about her. Said after her interaction with Koberger, she began to distance herself from him and heard complaints from other female graduate students about how Koberger would make them uncomfortable. Blank said as the semester progressed, there were numerous interactions with Koberger, staring at students weirdly during class and spatially trapping fellow students in the student offices. Creepy. Stated when she was not around, Koberger would spatially trap, that's the way to describe it, other students in their offices. Stated there was a spiff during class between Blank and Koberger in which Koberger was mansplaining to Blank. Said as the disagreement progressed. During questioning about Koberger's overall performance in school, Blank stated she did not think Koberger was doing very well, as they could get a general idea of everyone's grades through a process of elimination. She'd heard Koberger's was inadequate to grade his papers because he was, this part's all blocked out and hard to understand, but maybe he wasn't doing well in school. When asked about Koberger's demeanor after November 13th, 2022, she said Koberger's demeanor did change. However, she attributed it to being called out about not being a good TA. Recalled Koberger smiling at her more and being more respectful towards her. During additional follow-up, she stated Koberger always wore a puffy coat to class, both prior to and after the homicides. Let's see. She provided additional examples regarding Koberger blocking fellow students in their offices, just creepy. Said that he didn't have a
Blocking them
girlfriend.
in his office.
Sorry, like I said, I'm going
Yeah,
through all this in real time with you guys. Said during
that's
2
not a
extensive
big
student
deal.
presentations on
No.
sexual victimization on college campuses and stalking, Koberger sat through them and did not interject himself into the conversation. Regarding the death penalty, Blank reported Koberger previously appeared to be in support of the death penalty and made statements that the victim's family should have a say as to whether or not the death penalty really be imposed.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
They attended a barbecue together. It sounds like they had like grad student social events that they would all go to. To describe Koberger as becoming quieter and quieter, not speaking up in class, that he arrived late on November 9th. Described an interaction with Koberger after leaving one evening when she was blank and Koberger trapped her into conversation with him, stated she was not aware of Koberger having any social media. Blank said Koberger showed her pictures of him in a hiking area. She said she found snow footprints leading to a back window of her apartment. Whoever had left the footprints had backtracked within the tracks, and her fiance installed security cameras in response to the footprints.
Bam!
What?
They all seemed really creeped out by him. And it's a lot of these same stories. Again, 13 reports pertaining
And
to
I
Koberger,
think that's more than
highlighting
9.
concerns regarding his behavior. This is about that again. Let's see. Another undergraduate saying that Koberger's behavior was of concern, inappropriate behavior that was reported to professors. A lot of similar stuff here. Was focusing his attention on one woman in her office and engaged in unsolicited debates and arguments regarding topics she felt were not up for debate, and explained an incident in class where the topic of eyewitness misidentification was being discussed. Blank was explaining her viewpoints due to her background in the topic. Koberger was agitated and argumentative because he did not agree with the explanation.
Listen to this part.
They were trying to figure out if Koberger had social media. It seems like a lot of the detectives, because they were asking about
That's
that a
not
lot. Another student noted that after Thanksgiving break, Koberger was very quiet, felt Koberger must have realized his behavior was being accounted for, and this was causing a lack of engagement. This is interesting. Blank said she saw Koberger with injuries to his left hand while in class, sat to Koberger's left 3 feet away from him, and during a class following Thanksgiving break, she had a clear vision of his left hand, described the injury as bruised knuckles. The redness was halfway up the back of the left hand from his knuckles, and he had a cut in his ring finger knuckle. Koberger had told Blank he was a boxer, said Koberger did not try to hide the injured hand. Interesting. So they spotted the injuries. I'm just making sure nothing else is coming through here.
Isn't that the hand that he threw the thumbs up with? That everybody was saying, isn't that hand bruised?
Yep.
Isn't that a cut? I
Yep.
think Sonia D was one of them that was adamant about that being a cut on the ring finger.
Yeah.
Man, all these people were right on point, and people just make fun of all the stuff that they got right. And like you said, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about listen to what he's saying. He's piecing it all together.
I mean, here's the thing about it is, like some of the discussion right now is, what are the pro burgers going to say? Okay, here's what it's all lies. They're just making it all up. It's all lies. He didn't do none of that. They all just want to come forward now that he's in jail. And no, y'all, this is stuff that came out way before he went to jail. Okay.
This was all the stuff that was going to be probably argued or presented in a opening statement, possibly.
Has he already talked about that while he was still at WSU, they had the harassment seminar and then they had another seminar after he left? You do not do that unless something is wrong with a student that's been kicked out.
Well, to corner a student in your office and not let her
Several
out.
students.
Yeah,
And then the footprints in the snow.
yeah.
And then the part that I said, listen to this, is going to be Oh my gosh. God, there's so much in this. They talk about, let's see, they talk about the knife sheath at the motel room. They talk about, oh my
Well, let's
gosh.
let's
Yeah,
keep
just,
going.
yeah.
These are all just more accounts from other students and professors. So this is someone who says there were complaints about Koberger and that he spoke to other staff and students. His stating about outspoken discriminatory comments, which were homophobic, xenophobic, and misogynistic in nature. He would also stare at people and stand uncomfortably close or lean over women, making them feel uncomfortable. Another person says staff had talked to Koberger as many as 5 times about his behavior.
Hey,
Um,
I'm going to go walk my dog right quick, but
All
the
right.
part that I wanted to tell you to really
sorry, there's
listen
just so
to
much here.
is going
Blank
to
recounted
talk
an incident in
about
which her
him arguing
neighbor
with an
saw someone very
instructor,
close outside her window and Blank to make
Okay.
sure the door was locked. Blank did
but
not know
he's
who that person
arguing
was, but
that
learned she
the
lived
victim's
fairly
not
close to
important, the
Koberger. Blank learned
perpetrator
from
is.
professors that Koberger was fired as a
Okay.
teacher's assistant after fall 2022. So some of these women were even concerned he was like outside their house. This is another student. I asked Blank if Koberger acted any differently after the homicides in Moscow. After thinking about it, Blank said it was right around the same time that Koberger stopped coming into the office as much. Prior to that time, Blank had described Koberger as somewhat arrogant and held her head up high when describing him. After that time, Blank said Koberger kept to himself more and seemed to be less interactive. When she described Koberger after the homicides, Blank kept her head down. Following her complaints that they received about Koberger, he was disrespectful toward his professors. He instigated contentious arguments in class. He expressed concern over over other classmates, one that had a hearing disability. He only talked back to or criticized female professors and students, so he is sexist. He thinks highly of himself and doesn't interact well with others. A lot of this stuff, I mean, it's like crazy. They're all saying the same thing. More women feeling weird, like he was cornering them in their offices. Let's see. Oh, this is the whole search warrant, which we've seen before. When they went into Koberger's apartment, this lists everything that they took, which I knew. Okay, so this is interesting. I saw this earlier. So I guess Koberger was staying in a hotel at one point. I don't know if it was right when he moved to Pullman, Washington, but the clerk there says she went upstairs. I guess there was some issue with the cards to the room and he wanted a refund or something, or he might have overpaid. This was the clerk who went upstairs to see if Koberger was going to check out at the appointed noon checkout time. As she approached his room to contact him, he was standing in the doorway, leaving. As they walked down to the front desk, they talked about sheaths and collecting knives. That's interesting. Once at the front desk, they talked about self-defense weapons and their knife collections. That's interesting. He was talking about knife sheaths. I mean, now this is just more of the same. Koberger trying to dominate conversations in class. She noticed a bandage. This is after the homicide. Someone in class noticed a bandage on Koberger's middle and ring fingers on his right hand. Koberger told her it was from a silly accident that happened indoors. She didn't think it happened indoors because it looked like it had been scraped on asphalt. She believed she observed the injury prior to the homicides, but was not certain. So they were really asking everybody. This is another one talking about Koberger would go into his office where several female grad students worked and physically block the door. Once in a while, she would hear one of the female grad students say, "I really need to get out of here." And she would intercede by going into the office, allowing the female students to leave. Koberger really wanted to study burglars. Koberger had several feelings that regular burglars had nothing to do with sexually motivated burglars. Koberger would show up anywhere from 10 minutes late to an hour late on occasion. Koberger was obsessed with serial killers and would talk about it a lot in class. The week Koberger was not in class, three female grad students approached her and said, "Oh my God, class was so much better today, like just easier to navigate." So no one liked him, it doesn't seem like. She felt like he was stalking people. She would not share his dissertation as a backup solution for kicking him out. I guess there was division over whether Koberger's funding should be cut. So this went all the way up to the leadership. all of these complaints. Okay, this is interesting. So this is an interview with one of the inmates who was in the Latah County Jail with Brian Koberger. Now, this is after the arrest. Okay, so fast forward. And I guess this inmate says they were in the same pod. After arriving in their pod, Koberger immediately sat down and watched the news about his arrest. Watching multiple channels that were covering the story, Koberger said, "Wow, I'm on every channel." Koberger was very quiet and awkward. It was awkward having him in the pod. He's highly intelligent. His eyes were creepy. This is from the other inmate. Told him this. Koberger said his favorite movie was American Psycho with Christian Bale. He enjoyed watching the news about his case unless it began talking about his family or friends, at which point he changed the channel immediately. As time continued, Koberger stopped watching the news related to his case almost completely. He analyzed everything. He wanted to know why people had preferences on anything in the jail. He spent most of the time on his communication tablet talking with people, typically his blank, who he had told to retain an attorney, washed his hands excessively using 3 bars of soap per week, showered every day and wanted new bedding and clothes every day. A lot of people saying was very smart, also liked to watch court TV and was very interested in the Murdoch trial. It's kind of interesting. Okay, sorry, these are a little out of order. Now going back to another person from his classes at Washington State that he would try to talk to her about another student about the Ted Bundy murders. This goes on and on. Another person who found Koberger in her office and felt uncomfortable at the school, and you know, had complained about it. That story just seems to keep repeating itself. So this is another person who went to school with Koberger. Let me just make sure. Who said, I guess volunteered this, that Koberger committed these homicides because he wanted to know what it felt like to commit these crimes in relation to his studies, and ultimately if he could get away with the crimes, further supporting his belief that he was smarter than others. Blank said committing these crimes and his need to control others is consistent with his personality. So that was sort of her take on what happened, one of the other people from the school. A lot of the same stuff here. After the homicides that occurred, he said he had a few grapes right now. He said this at a Christmas party. She noticed after the homicides, he was in his office more, observed him often in his office. She assumed he was coming back from spring semester because he had asked about a theory class that they would be taking in the spring. So she thought he would be coming back. Said that Koberger did not like the fact that she discounted the offender in studying sexual assault cases. He said she was being dismissive of the offender. He thought she should be focusing on the offender and what they left behind. He thought the offender had a strong impact on the crime rather than the victim. She said he thought he was dismissing what she was doing just to argue.
Dismissing the offender.
So
Yeah. Wow. Got a couple more minutes.
yeah, these stories just go on and on. I mean, look, I'm going to go through all of this in more detail. I sort of gave it all once over. I had reported on, I had talked to people who were in class with Koberger who said some of this, but I had never really had this detail and knew that there were that many specific complaints and that women were that freaked out by him, sort of across the board, it seems like. So anyway, that's the latest from these 600 pages. I'm going to go through it all again. I'll do more episodes, but I wanted to give you guys at least what stood out to me because I got all these documents today. I'll keep you guys posted. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Man, that was awesome, Nina.
I
I'm
love it.
going to show these and then I'm going to call it a night. But,
Okay.
Man, we're talking about him with the clothes washing thing, right?
Right.
Do you believe that he went in that house and felt compelled to like pick up clothes and stick them in the washer?
I think he was doing anything to let them know that somebody had possibly been in their house, but doing it in a way sort of like, the girl at 1126 when they put her luggage out in the road, put her panties in the cup holder. or his little friend. They move stuff around in the apartment. But didn't you find it interesting that one of his main things was sexual assault burglary?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
want to I want to point something out in this photo, and this may not mean anything. I mean, I don't like when people look at a photo and start, well, look at this. He has a white T-shirt on. Look at this. He has something in his left hand. You know what I mean? I mean
yeah,
that. But look at his shoes. If he really was that particular about
exactly.
obsession,
Right.
black shoes would be closer to the orange slides. But let's watch this. Let's watch
They
him
would be
walk.
straighter.
Yeah. Okay. Let's the other one. So he's wiping. So
His
he was.
croc.
Yeah, he was wiping down some Crocs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now look, y'all know that I'm not typically one that like recommends pro burgers or anybody like that.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that if what I'm fixing to say is not recommending the channel, is recommending the guest on the channel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a channel that's it's pretty transparent and truth, you know, and she has a blood expert, Scott Roeder, on there, and I recommend anybody watching Scott Roeder talk about the pictures. I mean, I learned so much from him,
Okay.
and it,
Remind
it may be it may be somebody that I don't really care that much about watching and stuff, but for the guest, it's worth a watch.
Well, maybe we can watch that this weekend and comment on it, Nina, if you're
Yeah,
free.
I mean, well, I don't know if she's one that strikes people or not.
No, I'm talking about, going and isn't that interview based on something else that he done? Doesn't he have
No,
other?
he's actually on her channel looking at the crime scene pictures of the Idaho Four.
Oh, okay. Well, hell.
And but the way that he's explaining, like, I mean, he explains like some of the like. Okay, you know the 90-degree angle spots that are in the floor.
Yeah,
There's two pictures. Well, two of them have like the semicircles.
right.
I mean, like he's like, I mean, he literally says that he's like standing there looking at what he's done. That
Of
is
course.
so creepy to me.
And that's what, I mean, I'm no blood expert, but that's what I was saying, you know, and the panel was, or the chat was saying that too. It's like he was standing there looking while the knife was dripping those
Yes.
droplets
I
of
mean, I
blood.
guess I missed that
Yeah,
chat because when I heard him say that, I mean, chills like went up the back of my neck because I was sitting there thinking, my God. I mean, because it's both bedrooms.
yeah, we were
And it's
talking
like,
about
did
that.
he just stand there and watch them die?
Of course, because
I'm
as you and I know, people just don't die instantly. Even if you get stabbed in the heart, you still have a little bit of life before you actually pass away, you know?
right. I mean, I was just Texas,
What what I was
Texas,
what I think
Texas.
about the blood spatter, and you've been around long enough that I've shown
Yeah,
other other experts describe the blood spatter about the droplets versus the tails or the trails that they call them, as you can tell, if somebody's walking away, which direction they're going based on the tail of the blood.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kelly
But
is asking, were these blood spots in Maddie's room or were they in Xana's room?
well, see, they're in both rooms, right at the door of both rooms. And on the left side in both rooms, there's like semicircular. There's four. One in
Right.
Xana's room and one in the doorway of Maddie's room. And what's funny is at one point he's talking about uh, two of the blood spots on the door that looks like that it could have came off the tip of the knife as he was opening the door.
Right.
Well,
That
if
makes
that's true, then that means that he was opening that door after he had already killed somebody else.
we need to talk some more. We need to
Yeah.
talk some more. You guys hit that like button, subscribe and share, put some stank on it. Give Nina some likes over on her channel, and if you like what I present over here, put some likes on my channel too.
And y'all, it doesn't matter if you're in Gage's chat or my chat, as long as all of y'all are here, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Because I think
Exactly.
you all show up in Gage's chat anyway.
I mean, there's no competition between Nina and
Right.
myself.
Yeah, none. None.
We always like to collaborate information, and she's the one that shows me some things that don't have time to see all the time. You know what I mean? So put some stank on that like button. Go do it.
We
Make
promise
that
not to
like.
use the IGG against you.
Yeah, go put some stank on that like button. Well, Nina, thank you so much for being on here. We'll have to do this again. I've I've missed you on the panel, and our lives are busy, and you've been. Let me give Nina a shout out for what she's doing right now. She's currently building kennels. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's building
Yes.
kennels for individuals that are in treatment,
Yes.
so they can house their animals while they're getting help for their addictions. And she currently has
Yes.
two, but she has
I have an
a
order for four.
need. Yeah, she has a need for two more. So if you want to do something good and you just don't know where to place that goodness at, get with Nina and she can direct you towards helping some people that are trying to redirect their lives with their pets being safe while they're getting their life together. Because sometimes addicts, all they have is their animals. All they have is their pets. You know what? So if they're safe while they're getting help in a kennel that's
Oh, they get to
provided,
be with them.
okay.
Yeah, we put them at the rehabs.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
since they get to go with them, I mean,
Yes.
like I said, if you want more information, contact Nina. And if you want to donate or if you want to put some goodness into the world and hopefully help have it come back your way, get with Nina. And it's a worthy cause, so it's not a grift. It's just a worthy cause. Get with Nina and see what you can do to assist some of these uh some of these people that are trying to redirect their lives and get their lives back together. Because you know what, we all need a little hand up sometimes, and that little hand up can go a long ways into our future. So you just
And
never know.
and no, it's definitely not a grift. It's definitely a way to honor my son's death.
Right. And that's another reason why. And if you can't do it, pass the word along. You just never know if
Yes.
somebody's looking to donate to a foundation or some kind of cause. I mean, you just never know. There are a lot of people that are looking for donation, causes and foundations to donate to, and you
Yeah,
know,
if one of y'all win that Powerball, y'all remember Dabo's Kennels.
if I win it, my channel's over, bro. I might do one. I might do one from my jet, but that's about it. You know what
Remember, we're partners now.
I mean?
don't go off and leave me behind.
Here's my donation for some kennels, Nina.
All right, well, we're
Yeah.
going to be back. We're going to be back because, man, I am riled up now.
Well, go do a live. Go do a live.
Oh, I can't do it live tonight, but we'll definitely be doing something tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I hope that people understand that, we've been labeled with a label that nobody asked for. I didn't ask to be called a guilter. I didn't even
Right.
represent. I didn't even represent a feeling or an admiration for Brian like that. So to be called a name by people that have taken a stance or drawn a line in the sand, that's disrespectful all the way around. You know what I mean? And to say certain things that aren't true, all we've ever tried to do on this channel is to try to show the deeper level of information that most channels don't show.
Right.
And we've gotten made fun of, we've been personally attacked, and I'm not lying on that. By other channels, we've had all kinds of stuff. We've had our subs being attacked, called names and all this stuff. You know what? Real adults don't call names. If you don't like our stance on stuff, you don't have to call us names. Don't watch. Don't watch. There's plenty of stuff to watch on our channels in the library. If you are bored, go check it out. You're going to learn a lot because Nina and I and myself have deep dove into this for a very long time. And some of the stuff that we're hearing now, to me, it's not really comical, but it's like, okay, we were kind of on point there. We were kind of on point. We were sticking to our beliefs and we didn't stray from that. Many people have flip flopped back and forth, but I believe that Nina and myself has stayed true to our beliefs.
That's the thing about it is I honestly feel like we have allowed the research to guide us instead of us trying to guide the research.
Right.
Scott Roeder, that was he was on her channel Tuesday, I think.
Dennis Rader. I mean, Scott
Yes,
Roeder.
yeah, Scott Roeder. And I mean, like I said, I'm typically not one to recommend, other channels or anything like that. And I guess in this case, I'm recommending the guest
Yeah.
because he had a lot of good information. And the thing that I liked about it was he didn't let, I guess, her bias direct his information. Does that make sense?
That's how it should be. That's how it
Right.
should be.
I mean, he told his information, how he saw it, and that's what it was based on. It wasn't based on trying to, impress her or make her happy or make her chat happy or, is I'm an expert and this is what I see.
Well, let me ask you really quick, Nina, before we sign off, okay?
Okay.
Um, by deep diving and doing all the reading that you've done in these 2.5 years, do you see a lot more clarity as far as investigations are concerned? It's not really that confusing if you really understand what it is that you're trying to learn, is it?
No, and I mean, the thing about it is what I did learn is, like I said just now, was to let the research guide me.
Right.
I went, when I first started going into doing the research, um, I think one of the first things I researched was actually the church because I was like, what's this church got to do with it? And I realized that the more I tried to find something about the church, the more I could make something about the church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so
And that's
then the
what I
more
tell
that I
people
got,
to do. That's what I told people to do in the beginning. It's like, you know what? You want to learn about this dude? Then deep dive into his life.
exactly, and you're the
Don't.
reason, you are the reason that 90% of my storage is Brian Koberger. It is
Yeah.
not, it is not I have a lot on the case, But I'll be honest with you, not I'd say 85% of my research is him individually.
Yeah.
And
And
that was
that's why, yeah.
that's because you put the challenge out there to get to know him as a person, not as the accused.
Right. As
To
it
find
should
out
be.
what made him click.
As it should be. And if you really kind of like these other people, like what I did with Danny Rowland the other day, when I was watching that, I was creating that, man, it was making me sick because to listen to that prosecutor going step by step by step by step, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like,
Well,
Jesus, he's walking.
I do have to
He's,
say something, Gage. Look who's here, Bullets and Bling.
I see her. I
She
see
is back
Bull.
in the saddle.
Good deal. Good deal. We
But
missed
yeah,
you.
I mean, exactly, Gage. I mean, that's the reason on my comments I put, well, this was just informative. I mean, because that's all I could come up with because I was like, damn, that's just like full of information.
And they got what? 44 views.
Honey, I've got some videos. I watched a video, a short today of mine that was really, really good. And I think it had 17 views. But you know what? That's 17 people that saw it. And I'm grateful to those 17 people.
And that's what I got to remember is, you know what, like they always say in addiction recovery, if you reach one, you've done your job. Your job is to plant the seed, not get them to heaven, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. And I mean, the thing about it is when we make the video, be honest. Are you making it for somebody else? Or are you making it for yourself?
Well, I have always been trying to do this to learn so that I can be better at my craft because I'm working with juveniles and I want to see if there's any kind of things that I can notice in them that could potentially be a red flag to catch early on so they don't grow up to be a Brian Koberger.
Exactly, exactly. And see, I think that's where you've heard me say so many times, and especially in the writing that I did about Coburger, in one part of it I wrote, could just one connection have saved four people? If he
Yeah,
could have made just that one connection with that one person, or was it just who he was?
I believe it's who he was because look at all the people that were trying to influence him. His students, I'm sure, were trying to help read. We
Right,
learn from everybody. So if he would have been open and really into wanting to be teachable, he might not be where he's at.
right.
Self-centered, self-centeredness and egotistical stuff. He had no empathy, so his ego drove everything he did.
Oh yeah, and when that ego went, he went
Yeah, yeah,
because that ego is all he had.
yeah.
And that's the thing about it, I sit there and I look at the pictures of like the little 9-year old. And then the other day, we got some of him like, in like first grade and stuff like that. And, you sit there and you think to yourself, is there something that could have stopped it? Well, here's the answer to that. We got the answer tonight. When
Yeah,
you have the professor of a university saying, we're going to give this psycho a PhD one day, and this is what we're going to be reading about.
right.
And nobody stepped forward, and nobody stepped in. And I'm not trying to take the blame off him, but there were red flags.
And it's not until after the fact that you say, "Well, damn, I should have said something."
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
Hell, that's in relationships.
right, right.
But that's
Well,
the
you
thing
guys,
about it is I think that that's the reason that, like what you're doing, what you said with, the minors and stuff. is because if it can teach you how to recognize more of those red flags, or if it can teach you how to help, you know, I mean, to me, that's what it's about.
Right. Right. Well, you guys make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button. You all
I
know
love
where it's
each
at.
and every one of y'all.
Thank you all for being in here. Thank you, Nina, for hopping up on panel. I really wasn't gonna go live tonight, but you showed me some
We
stuff
just
that
weren't feeling it, were we, Gage?
no, no, we weren't feeling that. But always a good time, Nina, and I'm sure we'll get together again soon. You
Yes, we
guys
will.
go over and subscribe to Nina's channel if you aren't already. Subscribe to mine if you like the presentation. There's plenty of videos in both of our channels that you could spend months going through to show you the journey of these 2.5 years, because we have really deep dove in all this stuff. And there are some speculation, but most of it is really educational and factual based on our understanding of the process.
Right.
So y'all have a good night. Nina, anything you want to say to your chat?
Y'all just shared Abo's Kennels.
Anything you want to say to the chat in general?
We'll be back tomorrow night, and I will be putting out a video talking about how I think things went down.
All right, cool. Well, you have a good night, Nina.
All right, y'all too. Thank y'all.
Bye. Well, there you have it, folks. Gents and women. Like I always say at the end of my videos, be safe out there and watch your six, because you just never know. Maestro, cue that music.
Ready, set, go!
Age Investigated, the best true crime channel out there.
I'm a true crime channel.
12 Gauge Investigators is the best.
12 Gauge Investigators the best.
12 Gauge Investigators, he's the best.
Prince George's County 911 Center. What is the location of the emergency?
Across 4709 40th Avenue.
You say
it's a fire, and it's catching fast.
4709?
Yeah, 4709.
Okay, what city is that, ma'am?
Hyattsville, sorry.
And what's your name?
We take on the darkness, stare down deceit. Murder in the headlines, justice in the beat. From cold case whispers to killers in disguise, we rip off the mask, expose all the lies. Facts like bullets reload and deliver. Truth cuts deep like a blade in a river. Corruption shakes when the mic goes live. We dig where others won't survive. Games rolling through the smoke. Truth hits hard, no time for a joke. Deceit, murder, we name every name. No restraint, no shame, just flesh.
12 Gauge Investigators is the best.
When you're in Foley, come get your hair cut where 12 gets his at Nick's Barbershop. 12 Gauge is the best. We love you.
12 Gauge Investigative is the best.